Welcome to the heart of darkness, where the streets whisper secrets and every corner holds a tale of intrigue. Prepare to immerse yourself in the pulse-pounding world of crime as we journey through the labyrinthine streets of capital crimes. Today we are unveiling the intricacies of the financial deception of JP Morgan, so here we go. Have you ever heard of a man who dominated corporate finance on Wall Street throughout the Gilded Age and Progressive Era? JP Morgan, the most powerful industrialists and bankers of all time. People often call him the Robber King. John Pierpont Morgan, born in 1837, was a significant figure in American finance, with interests in various major industries and nearly complete control of a few. His influence extends beyond business, influencing politics, journalism, monetary policy, art, and geology. Morgan acted as the US Treasury's lender of last resort during the Panic of 1893 and organized the rescue of New York's banks in 1907. He consolidated several steel and iron businesses to create the world's first billion-dollar corporation, US Steel, and financed the formation of several other powerful firms, including General Electric and a couple dozen railroads. Morgan's legacy is reflected in a 1911 Puck cartoon, but there is little consensus on how to assess his legacy. Some view his contributions as positive, such as keeping the national economy from going off the rails and inventing the modern American corporation. Others view him as an embodiment of capitalism's ills, as he was born into money and spent his life turning that money into more money. He was an unapologetic monopolist, operating at a great distance from the people who labored in his factories for a pittance. JP Morgan, born to Junius Spencer Morgan and Juliet Pierpont in Hartford, Connecticut in 1837, was a banker who learned from his father's rise in the banking industry. He studied in Switzerland and the University of Göttingen, impressing a math professor who suggested he might have become his assistant or even succeeded him as professor. After graduating, Morgan joined his father's partnership, Peabody, Morgan & Company, which faced financial turmoil during the Panic of 1857. He then worked as an accountant and represented his father's interests at Duncan Sherman & Company, where he won a court battle by flipping 5,000 old rifles and earning $92,500. Morgan's father considered his ventures overly speculative and encouraged him to take on a senior partner. The resulting company was known as Dabney, Morgan & Company in 1864. In 1871, Morgan partnered with Anthony J. Drexel to form Drexel, Morgan & Company, which would eventually become JP Morgan Chase & Company. The company became a major source of financing for the railroad industry and the federal government, aided by its links to Britain through Morgan's father. When Congress refused to underwrite the Army's pay in 1877, Drexel, Morgan & Company stepped in. Morgan's family had deep roots in the Northeast, predating American independence. Morgan, a wealthy and influential figure, began investing in the railroad industry in 1885, where earnings had been affected by price wars. His father's death in 1890 quadrupled his wealth, giving him control of J.S. Morgan & Company. He later financed the merger of Edison General Electric and Thomson Houston Electric Company to form General Electric. Morgan was an early investor in electricity, and his house was the first private residence in New York to have electric lighting. The Panic of 1893 demonstrated the clout Morgan had gained over a few short years. Following the passage of an 1890 law requiring the government to print money to buy silver, a crash in wheat prices sparked a run on banks and thousands of businesses. Morgan rescued several railroads and restructured companies to eliminate competition and stabilize rates to ensure large, steady profits. The federal government had a tougher time with the crisis, and in 1895, Morgan partnered with the Rothschilds to lend the US 3.5 million ounces of gold in exchange for 30-year notes. In 1896, he financed Adolph Simon Oakes' purchase of the New York Times, which quickly earned a reputation for journalistic excellence. In 1901, Morgan arranged the merger of the Federal Steel Company and the Carnegie Steel Company, forming the $1.4 billion. United States Steel Corp., the first billion-dollar company in the world. Morgan expanded his reach to more industries using the strategy of Morganization, buying up struggling companies, merging them, cutting costs, and attempting to minimize competition. In 1907, another panic struck, leading to the collapse of the share price and a Montana bank. Morgan steered the country away from the precipice, promising half of his money to keep banks solvent and locking 120 financial industry leaders in his library until they worked out a solution. Suspecting Morgan's power grew as rumors circulated that he had precipitated the panic to drive rival banks out of business and ram US Steel's acquisition of TC&I passed by a hostile president. Political pressure built until 1912, when Democratic Congressman Arsène Pujol formed a committee to investigate Morgan and a few others' outsized control over banking and industry. Andrew Carnegie criticized Morgan's inheritance, stating that he was not wealthy. Morgan's estate was valued at $68.3 million, which would be worth $1.4 billion today, or $25.2 billion adjusted for GDP. In 2007, Michael Klepper and Robert Gunther estimated Morgan's wealth to be $38 billion. Most people expected Morgan to be richer due to his power and influence. Morgan was part of a group of financiers controlling resources equivalent to all property west of the Mississippi. J.P. Morgan, a polarizing figure, embodied the values of bourgeois capitalism, specializing in wealth building and influence. He was a monopolist, opposed openness and fair play, and had a paternalistic stance towards labor. Despite his commitment to stability, he couldn't be voted out of power. His legacy is the Federal Reserve, which provided liquidity during liquidity crises. Despite criticism, Morgan's life demonstrates the importance of having a lender of last resort in times of crisis. During his life, Morgan played many roles: banker, financier, robber baron, and hero. Today, we speak of entities, corporations, and multinationals dominating Wall Street. Never again is one person neither the chair of the Fed nor the leader of a nation likely to wield so much power over the financial world. Thanks for tuning in to another eye-opening episode on Capital Crimes, where we uncover the truth behind the dollars and cents. Before you go, fam, remember this: knowledge is power and action is key. If you're as passionate about uncovering financial wrongdoing as we are, then don't forget to drop a comment below with your thoughts, smash that subscribe button, and share this video with the squad. Together, let's keep exposing the dark side of the financial world and keep chasing the truth.